Caitlin Clark just made the funniest all-star selections ever. She just picked her friends. She made sure she picked no ops, as people like to call them. She made sure there were no ops on her team. If she's played with a player before, like Sonia Citron, she picked her. Gabby Williams, she picked nobody that tweeted a negative thing about her. She's picked nobody that has said a negative thing about her in the media. She picked none of her rivals.
Yo, this is the first time I've ever seen this, man. The first time out of all the times I've seen where two star players are picking up players. They ask for a trade, or the median person asks for a trade, and they're talking about trading the coach.
The WNBA All-Star Draft was fun between Caitlin Clark and Healvista Collier, the team captains, picking the players, picking the rosters. But the most interesting aspect was the coach swap, because Clark traded Cheryl Reeve, who was the coach of her team, or was to be the coach of her team, to Collier for Sandy Brondello, the coach of the New York Liberty.
With you here, Caitlin, you said you might be aggressive on the trade market once this opened up. Is there any player that you're looking to get to? And remember, it has to be apples to apples trade here. Starter for starter, reserve for reserve. The good news is you can't go wrong with this type of talent. Anyone looking to make a deal here?
To be completely honest, I love my team. I think they're great. I don't have any intentions of really trading any of them. I don't know if this is in the rules. I don't really care. But I think we've already discussed we are going to trade coaches. Fee's going to take her coach, Sandy Brondello.
Caitlin Clark was supposed to be coached by Minnesota Lynx head coach Cheryl Reeve. Healvista Collier was supposed to be coached by New York Liberty head coach Sandy Brondello. They swapped coaches. Cheryl Reeve, dodged the bullet. Thank God I don't need to coach Caitlin Clark, man. Man, I can't deal with that. I would have had to swallow so much pride. I can't do that. Fee, she probably called in the Fee, talk to Caitlin, please. I can't coach her. I can't do it. This book's about to come out. You know what they're going to be saying if I'm coaching Caitlin Clark and the book's out? Oh, God. Fee, please.
Bruh, tell me y'all just saw Caitlin Clark destroy Cheryl Reeves on national TV. I know y'all saw free smoke, ayy, free smoke, ayy, free smoke, ayy, free smoke. Bruh, Caitlin Clark want all the smoke. Bruh. Bruh, she just annihilated Cheryl Reeve on national television. I didn't see that coming. They asked Caitlin Clark, hey, Caitlin, are there any player trades you like to make? Nah, I'm kind of set with my team, but I would like to trade coaches.
Oh, the sweet taste of justice. The WNBA All-Star Game just got a whole lot spicier, and it's all because Caitlin Clark decided she was done playing nice. While everyone was focused on the player picks during the draft, Clark pulled off the power move of the century. In front of a live national audience, she brutally traded coach Cheryl Reeve right out of her job. This wasn't just a roster change, folks. This was a cold, calculated act of revenge, a public execution of a narrative that had been festering for months. To understand just how personal and deeply satisfying this moment was, you have to know the toxic history that led to this epic showdown.
Of course, Reeve is Collier's head coach for the Minnesota Lynx, so that makes sense. But the drama is going to come from Reeve having previously been critical on social media about the amount of attention Clark received relative to the rest of the league, not to mention being the coach of Team USA that Caitlin Clark was so famously snubbed from.
The trade went down with an audacity that left everyone speechless. Live on ESPN with the cameras rolling, Clark was asked if she wanted to make any trades. With ice in her veins, she looked straight at the camera and delivered a line for the ages. I don't know if this is in the rules. I don't really care, but we've already discussed we are going to trade coaches. The confidence, the swagger, the absolute boss energy was a declaration of war. Reeve, who was assigned to coach Clark's team, thought she could just coast into the All-Star game and act like nothing happened. She was wrong. Clark doesn't forget, and she certainly doesn't forgive coaches who spend their time trying to tear down the league's biggest star.
Brondello's like, oh yeah, this is good. This is good. So wait, Caitlin Clark had Chrissy Sides, who never let her Okay. Now she's got Stephanie White, who wants to do off ball. Oh, okay. And now Sadie Bardell's like, wait, oh, I can show Kayla what she's been missing this whole entire. I can set up an offense like, oh, here comes recruitment year of 2028.
To understand the sheer brutality of this move, you have to unpack the toxic history between these two. A history filled with professional slights and personal digs. It all started with the ultimate betrayal, the 2024 Olympic snub. Cheryl Reeve wasn't just some committee member. She was the head coach of Team USA. When the decision came down to leave the most popular and electrifying basketball player on the planet off the roster, Reeve was at the center of it. She hid behind bureaucratic excuses, claiming she couldn't comment on the selection process, but the world knew the truth. She had the power to advocate for Clark and chose not to. But it didn't stop there. For months, Reeve engaged in a campaign of passive-aggressive shade on social media. She'd post things like number 12 teams and tweets emphasizing that the W is more than one player, comments that were clearly designed to diminish Clark's historic impact and downplay the very phenomenon that was saving the league. Every sold-out arena, every broken viewership record was met with a subtle jab from Reeve, positioning herself as the gatekeeper of a league that Clark was fundamentally revolutionizing. She tried to frame Clark as a flash in the pan, and Clark kept every single receipt.
Caitlin Clark actually has a complete roster to start her team. She's got Caitlin Clark at the 1, Sabrina Ionescu at the 2, Satu Sabali at the 3. She must have heard the chatter in the offseason of fans saying, let's get Satu Sabali. I'm just saying, she might have heard a thing or two. We got AB at the 4 and Asia Wilson at the 5. Starters for starters, this should be a victory. I know it's the All-Star game,
But champions don't just get mad, they get even. And Clark's revenge was a masterstroke of surgical precision. She didn't just get rid of Reeve, she executed a massive upgrade. She traded Reeve for Sandy Brondello, the head coach of the New York Liberty and a proven winner who just led her team to back-to-back WNBA Finals appearances. The contrast couldn't be starker. She swapped a coach who criticized her on Twitter for a championship-caliber leader who actually knows how to win. Brondello's reaction was perfect. Her son texted her, "Mom, you got traded." And she thought the whole thing was fun. That's the kind of positive, drama-free energy Clark wants, and she wasn't afraid to make a move to get it.
Between the players was a lot of fun, and Caitlin Clark also wound up with all of the Fever members on her squad as well, meaning Aaliyah Boston, Clark, and Kelsey Mitchell will be a trio in Indianapolis for All-Star. So that's the way it went down. Here are the teams. You can see Caitlin Clark celebrating what she was able to accomplish here. That's her squad. Clark, Boston, Ionescu, Wilson, Sabali, Mitchell, Gabby Williams. I love Gabby Williams. What a player. Sonia Citron, Kiki Iriafen, Jackie Young, Thornton, Kayla Thornton from the Valkyries. So Clark should have a very fast team there.
This wasn't just about a coach, though. It was about building a fortress of loyalty and power. Look at the team Clark built. This wasn't a random collection of all-stars, it was a statement. Her very first pick was her Indiana Fever teammate, Aaliyah Boston, a move that screamed loyalty. Her first reserve pick, her other Fever teammate, Kelsey Mitchell. The message was clear. I take care of the people who take care of me. From there, she assembled a super team designed for total domination. She picked Aja Wilson, the 3-time MVP and the league's most dominant interior force. She added Sabrina Ionescu, a fellow long-range revolutionary who understands her game better than anyone. She grabbed Satu Sabali, a versatile international star who can do it all. This wasn't just about grabbing names, it was about building a perfectly balanced roster. She secured post dominance, elite shooting, and high basketball IQ at every position. It was a team designed not just to win an exhibition game, but to send a message that Clark's basketball vision is about winning at the highest level.
Now as Gangster Clark heard Cheryl Crusted Blueberry Muffin ass Reeves being salty in that press conference, throwing shade at the Fever and said, nope, get her punk ass up out of here. She ain't about to coach my team for the All-Star game, and that's why I call her Gangster Clark, because whatever Gangster Clark wants, Gangster Clark gets.
The fan reaction was an absolute eruption. The moment the trade happened, social media exploded with a tidal wave of support for Clark. Comments like, "Caitlin just fired Reeve as all-star coach, I'm here for it," And so glad Cheryl isn't coaching Caitlin Clark. Goodbye, Cheryl flooded every platform. The fans knew exactly what they were witnessing. This wasn't just a basketball trade, it was Clark taking control of her own narrative and publicly shutting down her biggest critic. For months, they had watched Reeve take subtle and not so subtle shots at their hero. They felt the sting of the Olympic snub and saw the constant negativity. This moment was their victory, too. It was a shared catharsis watching the person who disrespected their favorite player get her public comeuppance. While Reeves' camp was likely scrambling in stunned silence, Clark's supporters were celebrating the public execution of a tired, jealous narrative.
When you look at it, I mean, Williams is really fast for a forward. Obviously, Kelsey's very fast. Citron's very fast. Jackie Young's one of my favorite players. Iriafin, a rookie, can get up and down the floor. Ionescu can help spread the floor along with Kelsey and Clark so they can really shoot. Caitlin made sure to get some size. She actually passed up on Paige Beckers to take Sabali, and she took Asia Wilson with her third pick. If Asia had fallen any further down
The most delicious part of this entire saga is the irony. Cheryl Reeve, the establishment coach who tried to control and diminish Clark's narrative, was just completely outplayed and publicly demolished by the very player she underestimated. You could practically see the steam coming out of her ears as she realized she'd been outmaneuvered by someone half her age. She got shipped off to coach the other team while Clark and her new upgraded coach prepared for war. The underlying message here is crystal clear. Caitlin Clark is done being disrespected. She is done with the politics, the jealousy, and the toxic behavior that has followed her to the pros.
I don't know what's gotten into Caitlin Clark. You are leaning into this bad guy role. I love it. I don't know what's gotten into you, Caitlin Clark, but you've been on some I don't give a F lately. I love it. Oh my God, I cannot believe she just eviscerated and embarrassed Cheryl Reeve on national TV like that. They said, hey, would you like to make a player trade? It's better yet, I'll do you one better. Get this fucking coach up out of here. Hey, Caitlin Clark ain't playing, bro.
Sorry, WNBA, if that's not in the rule. Sorry, ESPN, if that's not in the rules, but we just made it a rule. So, Sandy Brondello, come on over.
Whoa!
Let's get to it. You can coach Sabrina. So therefore, maybe Stewie wants to come on over to my team.
Whoa.
Let me know. Fee, you want to give me Stewie?
We have breaking news here. I don't know that I've heard of a coach being traded in the All-Star game. This is something you're agreeing to, Fee. There's no terms to this deal.
I agree with Cheryl. I agree with the trade. I love Cheryl. She's my coach here. And you know what? That's just going to be worse for Team Clark because now we got more chemistry on our side. We got more synergy. We know what we expect from each other. So that was a bad move on your part, Caitlin. We're taking you down.
This trade was a coronation. It was the moment Caitlin Clark stopped being just a player and became a power broker who controls her own destiny. She showed everyone that she's not a pawn to be pushed around by league veterans. She is a superstar who controls her own destiny and can shake the entire league structure with a single confident decision. The woman who tweeted that the league was more than one player just got a harsh reality check. The player she tried to diminish has more power and influence than any coach in the game. Reeve gets to watch from the other sideline, likely regretting every single negative comment, while Clark leads her army of champions. This is what happens when you mess with a queen. She doesn't just win the game, she rewrites the rules. The era of disrespect is over. Caitlin Clark is now in charge.